welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at another older game. You can see this one's from 1996, so this one's been around for a while, and it's called Samurai. And this is from the Great Battles of History series. It's volume 5, as you can see. In the series was designed by Richard Berg and Mark Herman, and it is a 2-player hex and counter tactical style game. Basically it models ancient, well, not ancient, but 16th century, I believe, Japanese warfare. So it's battle lines, formations, unit types, big pitched battles typically fighting against each other. It says it's got a high solitaire suitability, and that's mostly just because there's not really any hidden information in most of this game. Complexity is up at the higher end of things. Most of the complexity boils down to the command structure and the fact that there are a lot of different units that can cross-reference on matrices for who's good against who and who gets what kind of bonuses against what, basically. So what we'll do is we'll open it up and we will take a look at what we've got in here. So you do get a roll of bags. Mine have come undone because, again, this game is very, very old. This game's, what, 24 years old at the moment? There is a rule book, Samurai rule book, and this is 24 pages long. Some illustrations, but mostly 3-column black and white text almost the whole way through. So outside of those unit illustrations, nothing else in there. So that's the rules. Then we have the, this scenario book. Now, the original scenario book out of this was lost. So this has been printed out on paper, but as you can see, just like the rulebook was, it's that 3-column, and it's all black and white as well. There's no setup diagrams. It's units referenced against hexes and hex rows and things like that. So setup on this one, I might look online to see if someone's got pictorial setups. That'll make it a bit easier to get them set up. Okay. So everything else in here is counters and maps, pretty much. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So there's 5 sheets of counters. And I don't know all of the different factions in here yet, but we just want to take a look at the counters and just look at how nice they are. And I don't know, I really like the aesthetics of these counters. There's something about them. I like how they look. I like the types of units that they've got. And the back of these is all disrupted. So those are just units and leaders. And again, different factions there. But you've got everything here from those foot units. You do have these cavalry units as well. A couple of small factions there as well. And again, disrupted on the back. Third counter sheet. A couple more factions. But then we also get into some of the admin markers as well. And if you've played any GBOH, a lot of those admin markers will be very, very familiar to you. It uses a lot of the core same system. One thing to note, and this is where that complexity comes in, each of these units does have a few numbers, like a few different numbers, and you have a couple of letters identifying what type of a unit it is. And not only does it have the numbers have backgrounds on them, and the colored backgrounds also represent different modifications to those numbers as well. So that's where you start to get into some of the crunch of it as well. This sheet looks, these are slightly smaller counters, and this looks like it's all of the leaders, which looks like it all of the different military leaders for each of the different factions. There's a bunch of those. And again, the leaders also have a number of markings, indicators, numbers, different shapes, colors, and sizes. All of those are different movements, command ratings, morale ratings, efficiency rating. A lot of different things on those. And again, that's where that complexity to the system does come in. There is the simple Great Battles of History rule set. From what I can tell, it's not compatible with this game or with RAN. You could probably fudge it, and I'm sure someone's already done that. But read as is, I don't think they're compatible because it uses slight modifications on some of these. But I'd be interested to see if we could make it work. This last counter sheet is just numbers. It's just all of the disruption markers. There's a couple of different activation point markers for the scenarios, but these are the disruption hits that you're going to be taking. We did have a last small set of these admin markers on this sheet, in these counters here, which I think is when your leaders get executed, or you put your enemies' heads on pikes, and now maybe it makes them have a morale check. But those are all the counters. A lot of counters in this one. The last things in this box. Oh, we do have a dice in there. Okay, so we do have one D10. Game uses a D10. We have, okay, at the bottom here, we have a little 25-year-old GMT Games feedback. And their address has not changed, so maybe we'll write that in just for fun. We have a scenario clarification errata, so errata, not something new. Credits and sources. And we have a couple of play aids. These are single play aids. There's only one each, so maybe we'll photocopy these. So we have a terrain effects chart, which is all just. I hope that's referenced on the map somewhere, because it's just written. You don't get a picture of what the terrain looks like on the map. We have our clan flight determination check, clan coordination shock, Busho casualty table, shot combat. This is very GBOH, that's what you'd expect. Clash of arms chart, and a fire table for all of your missile combat as well. So we might be photocopying those, making more copies of those. And then the last thing we get are these two maps, and I believe these are 22 by 34. And let's get them right around. Some of them are very traditional GBOH maps. This is like something you would see in any of the Ancients games, where it's a big old wide open space with no terrain and one small land feature. In this case, it's a river. So this is, and I think there's two scenarios on this map. I think you get Anagawa and, well, another one that I'm not going to try to pronounce. So you do get to double down on the maps, and that's where I think there's a more than just 4 scenarios in this game. This is Okayazama, I think. So this one does have a significant amount of terrain. And this is something that is quite different from most of those Ancients battles. You see there's a number of hills which are wooded, there's forests on top of them. You'll see there's tracked paths going through. I don't know if the stars are little victory hexes, but there's also a series of forts over here. Fortified villages, and even strong castles as well. Okay, good. And one thing to note, they didn't on the other one because there basically isn't any, they do have a terrain key on here with the wording, so when you cross-reference that with the terrain effects chart, that will be much easier to most modern games have this like in a column here, but referencing it here, that should be fairly simple as well. So that's the first map. And then the second map. Oh, interesting. Oof. So this is the second map. And this one, this is actually, it's actually a vertical map. And this is Sekigahara. This one also has your shock combat tables on it, shock terrain tables. There's a bunch of charts and tables on the map there, and they also have the fire tables and the clan fight determination table printed on here as well. I don't know, let's just, can we see how different are those? Are they identical? 1 through 22, 25. I think they're identical to this play aid. So this one's be a little bit easier, and it looks like it's a smaller, generally speaking, it is a smaller play area, so I think this might be a good start jumping off place. But that's just a guess. Oh, well, because on this side we have two small maps. Here we've got a fairly open one, but this looks like it's a big, I'm not sure if this is a big cliff, a big ridge that goes down into a valley because there's a river in the bottom here. And then this side it looks like we have this kind of a mountain and some kind of foothills with some rivers going downstream into a valley as well. So there's a lot of different terrain in this game, which is that's kind of what I'm hoping for, because there was a bit more, you know, high ground, maneuvering, hiding than there were in some of the ancient battles, where it's just like, let's pick a flat place and let's, you know, the maneuver and employing our troops and moving them around. Just a different style that have progressed over the last, you know, 1500 years between those two periods. But that's, you know, this is an older game. I basically got a very nice copy of it. I want to show you what it is. This is Samurai from GMT Games. Again, this is from 1996. You can get it on the second-hand market. Most of them are punched and clipped, which is nice because you can play around the box. But appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been Samurai from GMT Games, and I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.